Hi Mark, thanks for your answer. I would like to quickly respond by saying that if your belief is based on evidence, as you say, then I wouldn't say it is a choice. You don't get to choose what evidence convinces you after all. But I'd also like to add that I'm very happy to be talking to a Christian who is that open, who does have a belief based on what he sees as evidence and is able to entertain, even hypothetically, discarding God. On to your question. You asked me, who is God? If he sat down next to me on a train, what would he be like? I'm glad you asked this question because actually this gets to the core of one of the big reasons I don't believe in God. To me, to argue for the existence of a concept, you must first have a clear idea what concept it is you are arguing for. Sure, you could, in theory, discover evidence along the way without knowing what puzzle you're putting together. But if you're arguing for what that puzzle looks like, what its properties are, your idea of that puzzle needs to be coherent. And what Christians offer is not bits of evidence of some idea of God, and claim only that they can deduce from the evidence, but a whole package of this is what my God looks like. Unfortunately, that package is riddled with contradictions and paradoxes, such that to me the question many people ask, that is there a God, is in itself an incoherent question. Let me explain why I think the Christian God is an incoherent concept. Some, if not all of this, I'm sure you've heard before, so I'm not promising some unholy revelation. First of all, there are the classic paradoxes. Many people just disregard these offhand, but I think these are actually serious challenges to the concept of God as presented by Christians. For instance, if God is omnipotent and omniscient, can he change what he is going to do in the future? If so, does that mean he got the future wrong, because now the future is something different? And if he can't change it, can he claim to be omnipotent? An interesting question is if God is omniscient, knows his whole past, present and future, does he even have free will? This is the problem when people throw around terms like omni. Whatever it is you're making your God all-powerful in quickly devolves into a mess of logical paradoxes. A God who is nearly all-powerful would make logical sense, but that's not what Christians tell me their God is like. The second problem is when we try and take this mass of paradoxes into the real world, we quickly hit snags like the problem of evil, which asks if God is all-loving and all-powerful, then why is the world full of bad things? And if God wants to have a relationship with me, why can he only do it through me believing the dubiously sourced story of his bodily death 2,000 years ago in Palestine? If that's the way he had to do it, why is he limited to the method if he was omnipotent? Surely an all-loving and all-powerful being who wanted a relationship would reach out for me in a way I'd definitely enter into it. And the final issue is that the definition of what the Christian God is like changes across the Bible. In the beginning, he's an angry creator who personally gets involved in the affairs of Eve, Noah, Moses, and others. Later, he's hinted to be in a golden ark carried by the armies of Saul and David, content to sit back and let them do most but not all of the decision-making themselves. And finally, when it comes to the New Testament, he's both far more distant and far closer, if indeed he was Jesus, and he wants to have a loving relationship, rather than the more servile relationship he demanded of the Jews. So to finally answer your question, I have no idea who would sit next to me on that train. When discussing God with Christians, though, I do tend to go with a working model just so we can have a coherent conversation. I think of a supremely powerful, personally involved, singular being who wants to have a relationship with me, but is also completely not of this world. There's a number of problems with it, but that rough definition works to allow us to at least talk about things. And now my question for you. If you decided one day that actually there definitely was no God, what do you think you would look back on from your time as a Christian and say, yes, that was good. I'm still glad I did that. I look forward to your response.